So I wanted to do an overview video of the camping trailer that I've been working on since June of last year, 2023. I built this trailer from the ground up. I did not actually build the frame, but I've customized it. And I built it to my needs. And the inspiration behind this trailer is just from spending many years, pulling or driving to and from all across the country, campsites and setting up in the rain, taking down in the rain. And I wanted something that would allow us to easily set up and take down our campsite, even if it's raining or I'm in a rush, and just save a lot of time. And so when I started designing this, I had an Overland style trailer in mind. So I went to this program called SketchUp, which is a free app you can use on the internet. And I was able to draw out the plans in a general idea of what I wanted, right? So I was able to measure out 2.5 for the height, and then the general width of being 4x7 because we added an additional foot on the back. And this gave me where the wheel placement would be and where the doors would be, and maybe generally speaking where I would have height from the very top down to the wheel well. Now this isn't perfect. You'll see as I began to build it out, it wasn't to the T perfect, but it really came really close in my opinion, because I started with a 4x6 carry-on trailer, and so I removed these railings and the back hatch or the back carry-on part, and I reused a lot of this metal. And then I had a friend come out, and he's a professional welder, and he welded the corners and the roof top for me. But eventually I had to learn how to weld, and so I welded the doors and other parts of the frame. Now the sides of this trailer is plywood. You may not be able to tell, but it's plywood, and it's 1/2 inch on the side and 3/4 on the top. And then I painted it with a weatherproofing or all-weather-proof paint from Lowe's that I got, and I put 2 or 3 coats of that on the top and the sides. And that just sealed this is primer, but it sealed the wood perfectly. And then from there, I painted it black, which is a black satin, and then covered it with truck bed liner spray-on paint that I got from Amazon. And this is kind of a rough image. You can see the other side with the water tank and some of the wiring that I was doing. But it creates a nice rough exterior. And so while we're driving, rocks or things that hit the side don't automatically create a divot in the paint, or I'm sorry, in the side of the wood. And we've had a couple of different iterations of wheels. I went originally with my wife's stock 4Runner wheels that we took off, and those didn't work. So I eventually went to this black set that I got from Discount Tire. But what I really wanted is for organization with these drawers you can see on the top or on this side. I wanted the top to be able to open up, so we can easily just pull into camp, open the top, start pulling our gear out, and start setting up almost immediately. I wanted rear access. I wanted something where I could open up the back and utilize the rear of this trailer more so than just being able to store gear. And you'll see in a second what we use that for. I wish we would have extended the trailer tongue out about another foot to give us a little bit more space there, and maybe even repositioned the wheel well about back another 6 inches to maybe offset the weight. But generally speaking, I think this came out really close to that SketchUp that I had made. And you'll see there's imperfections. The paint job's not perfect. I tried my very best. But, for someone who had no welding experience, for someone who's never built anything like this before, it was a learning process. But generally speaking, I think it came out really close. Those struts you'll see there that are holding up the roof, you may think, oh, those are installed incorrectly. No, they're installed in the right direction. It's just that because of the weight of the top, when those are 100-pound struts or struts that are holding up the roof is probably about 150 pounds. And so that's 200 pounds on each side, or 100 pounds on each side. And so when I installed them going at the opposite direction, right, going how the instructions said I should install them, when I would try to close the roof system, it would throw it out of square and I would not be able to close the roof. So I had to install them in this direction for it to work. So that was probably, that was one of the longest parts of the build itself. And you just saw my hand there. What we do is, just in case it's a we're scared that it's going to fall. We put a brace there between the top and the railing, so just to make sure it doesn't fall. But I've tested this pretty heavily. Now it doesn't close as great as I wanted. It when we do close it, it closes fast. It opens up nice and easy, but it closes fast. And if your hands are caught underneath of that, that's going to break some fingers. So if anybody has any ideas about how I could create a soft close system, these struts don't really do that. These they just don't provide a slow, nice close like I've wanted. But if anybody has any thoughts, then that would be great. Now I did install this LED strips, and you'll see there it's a on a dimmer, and that provides light when we pull into the campsite. Now these drawers, I put 2 on this side, and this took the place of one of those yellow and black totes that you see, everybody uses at campsites. And I got to do some organization there and fix that paint job. That looks like that's trash paint. But, being able to have everything organized with most of the tent type tools that I need in the top drawer, and then batteries and things of that nature. But the doors close really well. I just installed some locks on the top that are coated. So that will make the trailer a little bit more secure when we are on our next trip, when we go across country. Now moving on to the back of the trailer, I wanted this to eventually become a kitchen. And so like I said, I didn't want it just to be access to the rear where we would, unload and load, because that's what the top is for. I wanted this to be something where we could pull up to the campsite, back it in or reposition it so that while we were cooking, it gives us an extra place to do, breakfast prep or dinner prep, because I'll cook over the fire mostly, but this gives us some more options, and it does eliminate the need for one of those, again, black and yellow giant totes. Everything stays here. After we wash and clean everything, it goes back in its compartment, and then we can lock it up at night, and we can slide in a cooler to the left or put our food in the top. I added this shelf here that can easily collapse up and down, and so we can put our camp stove on the top, connect a propane to the back. And again, if I'm cooking over, say, the fire, but my wife is making something else for dinner, we can now have 2 cooking stations. And this leaves the picnic table free of clutter. And now it's just a place to eat, and that spends less time having to clean up. Now moving on to the left side of the trailer itself, you'll see a couple of things, the water tank to the left, we'll get there in a second, but I want to focus in on this box to the right, this black box, and then the water spout. So what I wanted to have was an electrical option in the back where I didn't have to walk all the way to the front of the trailer, which isn't that far, but every single time I wanted to have lights or the pump to be turned on, I wanted something that had that access to the rear of the trailer, because that's where we do our cooking. So I bought this 5-gang switch off of Amazon, and the first switch operates the water tank. Now that's the water system right there showed like how terrible the pressure is. No, that's just because there's no water in the tank. And so the first button operates the water pump, and then there's lights on the top. I have some lights in the rear of the trailer, and then there's lights that actually go to the front doors. And so we're able to, have some options, really. That's all it is. And so when we pull into the campsite, we can turn this on, pull it up to high beam, or dim it down if it's too bright or we just don't need that much. And so I also put 2 lights to the left and the right of the back of the, you can't really see it obviously, but the back frame here. And then there's lights under each door as well. And so there's USB-C ports, there's USB ports, on the far right is a car charger, 12-volt system. So then here you see in the front door hatch, I wanted some extra space for, tarps or our clothes. I wanted to put here a water tank that goes the full length of the trailer, but didn't take up too much space. I think this holds about 45 gallons. I bought a 12-volt water pump off of Amazon, which works pretty well. Ran the PEX lines myself. Put a fill hose in so we can fill the tank from the outside. Don't have to always open this door and fill it. And so, I ran all of the plumbing myself. I ran all the electrical myself. I have a different video covering the electrical, but It was a lessons learned there, and I learned a lot about plumbing. I learned a lot about electrical while building this, and this really works out perfect because it gives us a little bit more storage space. We put our clothes. We'll put food here when we stop off at a grocery store on our way to the campsite. We can put all of our food here and not have to put everything in the car, which is another part of. I didn't mention this earlier, but we started out in a van, and then we also eventually came to a Tahoe, which was a good size for our family of 5. That Tahoe was having some issues, and so we've changed down now to a 4Runner, as you can see to the left here. And when you have a family of 5, you just don't have a lot of space in the car. So we wanted to limit the amount of space we had to take up in the vehicle to make traveling more comfortable. So that's where a lot of this trailer's inspiration is from. We want to put food, we want to put any kind of groceries, or we want to put any kind of blankets or anything else. And so that's why we ended up going with this trailer. Now I want to talk about these wheels for just a second. These are not the original wheels we had on the trailer. We had a 4Runner. We bought this about a year ago, and I took this stock. The idea was to take the stock rims off the 4Runner. As you can see here, they have blacked out rims. Take the stock rims off the 4Runner and put them on this trailer. Now, the 4Runner has a 6-lug system, and the trailer only has a 5-lug. And so that created a problem. Like, how do you use a 5-lug trailer system with a 6-lug rim? So I did some research, and I bought some spacers off of Amazon, and I installed them to the trailer, torqued them down appropriately, installed them correctly, and we went on a couple of trips. And the first trip went okay. There was a lot of bounce in the rims and not great. Got back, got some different lug nuts that were sat a little tighter, and that took out the bounce. Then we went to the Smokies for Thanksgiving and drove all the way up to the Smokies Mountains. We go every year. And on the way back, this side of the trailer, the rim came off while we were driving. And what we found was that the spacer system failed. And it actually stripped the Allen wrench system that actually connects the spacer to the rim actually came completely out of the the actual hub itself. And the wheel went flying, and obviously the trailer hit the ground, and my wife was driving. She did a great job of getting us to the side. But, man, on the side of the road, I had to run into, this was just south of Macon, Georgia. I had to run into Athens, Georgia. And I had to buy parts to be able to convert everything, take the spacers off, and then I had to buy 2 brand new trailer tire and rims to just get us back to Tallahassee. On the side of the road, I'm sitting there having to take these spacers off, and a cop had to stop and help us. It was a nightmare. I mean, it took 3 hours to get this thing back up and running. And so when I got back to Tallahassee, I had to come up with something else. And so I found these rims at Discount Tire. It's a 5-lug. They bolt perfectly back onto the hub. These are Goodyear tires. And we've taken this out several times now, and she glides. He glides. We call our trailer Russell from Up. He's a wilderness explorer. But he glides, man. Like, this is a smooth ride, smooth pull. The 4Runner pulls them perfectly, and so there's really no issues. I wish I would have done this earlier. I was trying to save money, and that just didn't work. And so my suggestion is, don't always try to save money. Put your money where's the most for safety is needed, and that starts with your rim and tires. So don't be like me. So just to finish out this video, I put a roof rack on top. I wanted some options again if we go on a long trip like we're going up to Canada in about a month. We may have to put a bag on the top and put some other gear in there. So I wanted, again, more flexibility, more space. You can see on the very front there's an inlet valve so we can fill the water tank if we need to. Just below that, there's actually a bypass for the tank, so we can just plug a water hose directly into that, and we don't have to use the water tank. It just depends on where we are and what system is available to us. And so we put I put 2 vents above the tires to allow for air vent. We're in Florida, a lot of humidity. The box there, I have a different video on covering the electrical, but I got a Blue Eddy power station there in the front box, put all my tools. There's a fuse box, there's a power inverter, there's a plug there on the side of the box itself so I can plug shore power in. So this trailer has really become just exactly what I envisioned. And when I sat down many moons ago and thought, driving back from, I remember that Smoky Mountain trip where we got rained on, I said, there has to be a better way. There has to be something out there that's affordable. But I couldn't find anything that fit my budget. The wife and I talked and said, how much would we be willing to spend? And 10 grand was not it. 15 grand was certainly not it. And I came out around 3,000, which is about 500, maybe even 1,000 more than my wife would have wanted me to spend. But this is pretty close, from the brand new trailer that I bought to all the different tools that I needed, the accessories, the wheels, the metal, the wood, everything. It's about 3,000, maybe 3,500 tops. And so it's been perfect. It pulls it glides. The weight capacity is right, perfect, because camping gear is not really heavy. Even the water itself is not that heavy. So he glides really well. Haven't had any issues while driving him. So generally speaking, this has turned out exactly what I wanted, and I couldn't be more happier than how he turned out. And so, my thing is, if this is something you're interested in doing, you have to have, understand your own skill level. I had a basic understanding of electrical. Just by owning the home, I knew how to run some electrical. I didn't know about 12 volt, and that was a new thing for me, but I had a general understanding. So if you want to tackle something like this, go for it. Just know you're going to have some some problems. You're going to have to work through some issues. So, but here he is. This is Russell. If you'd like to comment, that'd be great. If not, I just appreciate you watching.